sharing it in the chat box. Okay, so let me start with sharing my screen. Please let me know once you see my screen. Are you all able to see my screen? All right. Thank you, Sophia. Okay, so today I am not going to be using a PPT approach. We will straight away take the ICI material for this topic and we will try to solve the illustrations and questions. Anyway, I take all my illustrations and questions from the ICI material only. But today I'm planning to use a direct approach of using the material itself. So before we begin the topic, let's understand what is activity-based costing and how is it different from traditional costing. Now, what we've learned so far in the overheads topic, if you remember, is we will have departments, correct? We have production departments like department 1, department 2. Then we find the overhead cost, and then that overhead cost, we find the predetermined rate to absorb that cost into the good units, correct? So that is a traditional way of doing it, where we first find the departments, then we find the predetermined rate, then we find something like the machine hours or the labor hours, and then we allocate that labor hours and machine hours with that predetermined rate to the product. Correct? So that is how we have learned so far in overheads. Now, when you come to activity-based costing, there's a slight difference. What is the difference? In activity-based costing, instead of departments, we find out activities. What are the different activities that are taking place in the cover organization? Because sometimes within the department also, there could be multiple activities that are happening, correct? And each department, like let's say department 1 and department 2, could have a mutual activity going on, correct? So what we do in activity-based costing is we identify these activities first. Then we identify something called as the cost driver for this activity. I will explain it with an example below, but first try to understand what we are doing. So we find an activity, we find a cost driver for the activity. Means what is it that is making this activity happen? What is the backing of this activity? Without these drivers, this activity will not be performed. So we have to find out what is driving the activity. Then we find out what is how much, not what is, you can say how much of this driver can be allocated to the product or the service that that organization is providing. And according to that, we will allocate the cost to the product based on the cost driver. I hope so far you are able to follow. So let's look at this simple example that I have put forward. We have taken an example of a company having various activities. So let's take an example of a consulting company. Sorry about that. So consulting, so we're taking an example of a company that is providing consulting services. Now, what are the different kind of activities the consulting service can provide? Let's say the first step is like research activity. Different laws come up. Consulting is basically like your tax services or audit services. This is all consulting services, right? So if you have to say what kind of activities this organization could have, you can say you have a research activity where you research on what are the different laws that have come, new tax amendments, new guidelines, new audit standards, so many new things that come up, right? So you have to constantly keep researching and understanding how you can provide better service to the client. So one such activity is a research activity. The next thing you can say is client meetings. I'm just taking random examples of activities here for a consulting company. Client meetings, you have to go to the client, you have to speak to the client, you have to put forward your point of view to the client. So this is another activity that a consulting company could have. Now, what are the cost drivers behind this kind of activity? If you take a research activity, you can say that maybe if the laws are, the different types of laws are increased, or there are more amendments, there is more changes in the standards, there are newer laws that have come up, definitely your research activity will increase, correct? It will have a direct impact on your research. If everything is stagnant, there is no changes, laws are stagnant, it's the same thing you have to provide to that client, then there is going to be no need for a research in the company, right? So the changes in laws can be directly a cost driver for the research activity. And if you say client meetings, of course, the more clients you have, the more client meetings you will have. The lesser clients you have, the lesser client meetings. Correct? So this is how you can understand what is an activity and what is the cost driver for that activity. Now, if you, what is this? Okay. So now if you look at the next step after finding out the activity and the cost driver, you have to find out what is the cost incurred for that activity. So let's say for research, you have spent an amount of 50,000 rupees. The organization has spent 50,000 rupees for research activities. And for client meetings, it has set up a new client meeting software like Microsoft Teams or Zoom, and something like that, and it has costed 10,000 rupees. So this is an activity and you have the cost. Now you need to understand how much of the cost drivers is allocated to the different services or products of the company. So I'm taking an example of consulting. Consulting is a service-based industry, not a product-based industry. So what are the different services that a consulting company has? Audit services, tax services, advisory services. These are the different services that you have. Or you can, in simple words, different products, the products of the company, right? Now you have to understand how many new cost drivers or what is the cost drivers you can allocate to each service. So let's say for audit, you had two standards that were amended or two new standards. For tax, you had four standards that are pertaining to tax that has changed. For advisory, let's say four laws. Then when you come to clients, you can say there are 10 clients allocated to audit. There are 20 clients allocated to tax. There are 30 clients allocated to advisory. So this way you can understand what are the different cost drivers that we can allocate to the different services. I hope it's clear so far. Then we will proceed and allocate this cost of this 50,000 based on these cost drivers to the different services. Very simple. So before that you will need to find the rate per driver. So if you see the cost of research activity is 50,000 rupees, the driver is 10. How did we get this 10? We just added up all the drivers that is allocated to the different products, which comes to 10. And then you find something called the rate per driver. 50,000 divided by 10, it will give me 5,000 and 167 for client meeting. What is this rate per driver? If you remember in overheads, we did budgeted cost by budgeted hours. It's the same concept. Here it is budgeted cost by the budgeted drivers. Here we will have a cost driver and not budgeted hours, or if in case hours was one of our cost driver, then that's a different thing. But in overheads, we only take hours, machine hours, labor hours, and stuff like that. Here we have different types of cost drivers that can come. So that's why we give it a name called driver. And this will become our rate per driver, or in other words, your overhead rate. Okay, so you get 5,000 and 167. So now if we have to allocate the rate, this rate that we found to the products or services, how do we do that? So we know that for audit, there were two laws. So if I multiply the two laws into the rate per driver, which is 5,000, I will get 10,000 rupees allocated to audit. With regards to, okay, so let's finish off research first. In tax, how many new laws we had? 4. So if we multiply that with the rate per driver, we can get 20,000. For advisory, again, 4 new laws. If you multiply that with the research rate per driver, we get 20,000. So if you sum this up, it has to come to 50,000 rupees, because 50,000 rupees is what has been spent for research activity. Similarly, if you do for client meetings, you go for 10 clients and you have gotten 167. For tax, we had 20 clients. So we multiplied with rate per driver. Then for advisory, we had 30, and we will multiply it with the rate per driver. So again, the total has to come up to 10,000, because that is what is spent for the client meeting. Now we can sum up for each component, which is each product or service, and we can find out what is the cost allocated to each product or service based on activity-based costing. Is the concept clear so far about what is activity-based costing and how we are calculating the overhead for each product based on ABC costing. Do you have any doubts, any questions? Please let me know in the chat box. I will resolve it immediately. Any questions here that you could not follow or you couldn't understand? And if it's clear, let me know. I shall proceed with the illustrations then. Clear? Okay, thank you, dear. How about the others? Clear. Okay. So I'm assuming everybody has understood what is activity-based costing. So let's go ahead and start with some illustrations from our material. This chapter shouldn't take much time. It should be smooth. So let's try to finish as much as possible. Now, illustration 1 from the material. ABC Limited is a multi-product company manufacturing 3 products. Okay, so this we can highlight. The budgeted cost and production for the year ending 31st March are as follows. A, B, and C with production quantity 4,000, 3,000, and 1,600 units. Resources per unit, direct material 4 kg, 6 kg, 3 kg. Direct labor 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. Now, the budgeted direct labor rate was rupees 10 per hour and the budgeted material cost was rupees 2 per kg. Production overheads were budgeted at rupees 99,450 and were absorbed to the products using the direct labor hour rate. So can you see what is written here? It was absorbed using the direct labor hour rate. So this is what we used to do previously, correct? In the overhead chapter which we learned previously. ABC Limited is now considering to adopt activity-based costing system. The following additional information is made available for this purpose. Now, what is the budgeted overheads for material handling? 29,100, storage cost 31,200, electricity 39,100. The cost drivers identified were material handling is based on the weight of the material, storage cost is based on the number of batches, electricity is based on the number of machine operations. Data on the cost driver. For complete production, batches of materials 10, 5, and 15 for ABC, and for number of machines, it's 6, 3, and 2. What are you requested to prepare? Prepare a statement of management showing the unit cost and total cost of each product using the absorption costing method. Then prepare the costing using the ABC approach. And state what are the reasons for the different product cost under the two approaches. So I think the first one, it should be simple, not much confusion here. We have the budgeted costs and we have already told that it is on the basis of the direct labor hour rate. So we will just need to calculate the direct labor hours, find the predetermined rate and allocate the overheads. So let's quickly do that. All of you can also start doing it with me. This shouldn't take much time because this is the same concept as the previous session. So let's first calculate the total direct labor hours. What we have is now the quantity, correct? We have the quantity here given as 4,000, 3,000 and 1,600. They have given us the direct labor hour, labor minutes per unit. So it takes 30 minutes to produce 4,000 units, 45 minutes for producing 3,000 units and 60 minutes to produce 1,600 units. Now, we can't keep it as minutes because we need it in hours. So nothing, we'll just divide it by 60 and we will get the number of hours, correct? So let's begin. Quantity we have is 4,000 units here, 3,000 units for B and 1,600 units for C, correct? What did they say about the labor hours per labor minutes? We know it is 30 minutes, we know it's 45 minutes, and this is 60 minutes. Please note, we are actually calculating now the cost based on the traditional overhead method, right? Then we need the direct labor hours. We convert this into hours. How do we convert it into hours? So we know that 4,000 units into 30 minutes is in minutes, correct? So we will just divide this into hours. So that will give us 2,000 hours, right? So it's the same we will follow for the rest. Just multiply it, find the minutes and divide it by 60. That will give you the hours. So this gives me the total hours, correct? We need the total budgeted hours. Then we can calculate the overhead rate, which is nothing but the I have explained this. Budgeted cost or overhead divided by the budgeted hours, isn't it? This is what we've learned so far. So what is the budgeted overheads given to be? Budgeted overhead is given to be 99,450. So 99,450. And if anybody has found the answer, you can put it in the chat box as well. 99,450 divided by 5,850. So this is nothing but my budgeted overhead rate. I hope everybody is following so far. Any questions? Please let me know in the chat box. Has everybody found 17 rupees? Was everybody able to understand the approach to the question? Is there some confusion here? Speed. Okay, okay. I will reduce the speed. But Fawaz, were you able to understand? Okay, fine. All right. How about the others? All right. So the reason I was a little quick with this was because we have done this just before, right? Overheads calculation. That's why I was under the assumption that it would be easier for you all to pick it up. However, yes, I will reduce my speed. No worries about that. So now we have understood the calculation of the overhead rate based on the traditional method. So we will go ahead and do our regular thing of calculating the total cost. It is starts with the direct costs. First part will be our direct labor. If you see what is given here, labor rate is given at 10 rupees, correct? So 10 rupees per hour means we have to do it as into 10 into 30 rupees, 30 minutes divided by 60, because this is our 30 is our minutes, right? So we'll have to do it into hours. Then we have the next one given to be 10 rupees into 45 minutes divided by 60, which is 7.5. So this is giving us the total cost per unit, right? We are calculating the total cost per unit. Then if you go into C, we have 10 rupees into 60 minutes by 60, which is nothing but 1 hour. So that will give us 10 rupees. Then we will put in the amount for our direct material. Now direct material is given to be rupees 2 per kg. So simple, we just multiply the rate into the kg. Yeah. So that will be 2 into 4, 2 into 6, 2 into kgs. All right. That will give me my direct labor and the direct material. I hope it's clear so far. Then, as usual, we will absorb our production overhead rate. How do we do that? We have our budgeted overheads that we will multiply into our budgeted hours, which is 30 minutes divided by 60. Correct? Because we're doing it per unit. Why am I not considering the entire 2000 hours and 2000? If I was doing it for 4000 units, I would have considered 2000. But per unit, it is only 30, 40, and 60. Correct? So that's why I'm considering only this everywhere. Proceeding with the next one, 17 rupees into 45 minutes divided by 60. I hope you all know I'm dividing by 60 because I have to find the rate per hour, correct? So that is why I'm dividing everything by 60. So 17 rupees again into 60 divided by 60. So that gives me 17 rupees. So this gives me a total unit cost of 21.5, 32.25 and 33 rupees. Now we know what is the number of units, right? We have 4,000, we have 3,000, and we have 1,600 units. That is given in the question. So now we find the total cost will be unit cost of 21.5 into the total number of units, which is 4,000 units given in the question. The same formula will apply for B and C, and this will finally give us the total cost for A, B, and C under the traditional costing method. Is it clear so far? Any doubts, any questions at how we arrived at the total cost? Fawaz, is the speed fine right now, Fawaz? Please let me know if you have any doubts, any confusion. Okay, all right, Fawaz, thank you. Everybody else, how is it for you? Have you followed along so far? Okay, okay. Thank you, dear. Is there any doubt? Please let me know. I just see Dia saying yes. How about the others? Clear, Nada? Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, so this should be fine because this is an old concept that we have done. So now let's begin with the new type of concept, which is the activity-based costing. If you go back to the question, you can see that there is something called as the budgeted overheads that is given. Material handling, storage costs, electricity. So this is our activities. So this is the basis on which we will be allocating the cost. Now, as I mentioned, every activity needs a cost driver. So what is the cost driver for these activities? It's given right below. For material handling, it is the weight of material handled. For storage costs, is the number of batches of the material. For electricity, it's the number of the machine operations. So these are the cost drivers for these activities. All right. And then they have even given how much of the cost driver is allocated for each product. Just remember how I said 2 laws for audit and 4 laws for tax and 4 laws for advisory. So this is how they have allocated different cost drivers for the different products that we are providing. So all the information is already given. How do we proceed? The first thing is we are going to find the cost drivers. Yeah. Okay. So how do we find the cost drivers? So the first thing is we have mentioned that material handling is based on the weight of material handling. So if you go back to the question, the weight of the material is given to be 4, 6, and 3. But please be careful. In activity-based costing, you will never take the per unit kgs or per unit cost drivers. You will always, always, always have to multiply the cost drivers with the total units that you're calculating for. Unlike overhead rate, where you do it for per unit basis, in activity-based costing, always you have to find the total cost driver. Is that clear? Because otherwise the calculation will be messed up. So let me explain what I'm saying. So we have our quantity here, correct? Going to be 4,000 units, 3,000 units, and 1,600 units, correct? We have the quantity here. Now what we need the total weight. They have given us the weight or per unit, correct? Per unit they have given 4 kgs, 6 kgs, and 3 kgs, correct? But for ABC costing, you will have to find the total kgs because we are not going to multiply it with per unit cost driver. We are going to multiply it with the entire cost driver for that particular product. So we will get the total weight here, which will be 4,000 into 4 kgs, 3,000 into 6 kgs, and 1,600 into 3 kgs. So this will give us the total weight, that is the total cost driver, which we will be utilizing for the allocation of the cost based on the activity. I hope you've understood what we did here, correct? We have found the total weight. Similarly, the next thing we need is the number of batches of material. How do you find out the number of batches of the material? So we know that if we go to the question, so now batches, it's 10 batches for A, 5 batches for B, and 15 batches for C. So please understand, 10 batches, you will not multiply it with 4,000 units because 10 batches means 4,000 units of production took 10 batches to produce. So each batch would have around 400 units, correct? So don't do the mistake of multiplying the units with the batches because you have to understand logically. Batches means what? How much in each, like for example, if you are producing 4,000 bottles, correct? What organizations do is they don't in one go produce 4,000 units because the machine needs some time to rest, correct? So they will take batches, they will divide those 4,000 bottles into batches of like, in this, for example, they have divided into 10 batches. So 4,000 units will take 10, in 10 batches, they will produce those 4,000 bottles. So each batch 400, then the machine will rest, another 400, machine will rest. 10 times this will happen. So 10 total batches of bottles will be produced. So don't do the mistake of multiplying the batches with the quantity here. Weight, of course, you have to multiply with the quantity, right? So we have the total batches that is given in the question already. 10, 5, 15. That gives a total batches of 30 batches. The next thing that we need is number of machine operations. So if you go back down, it says that the per unit of production, the number of machine operations is 6, 3, and 2. Correct? So now, okay. What do you think? Will we multiply here or will we not multiply here with the quantity produced? Let me know in the chat box. What do you think? Will we multiply the number of machine operations with the number of quantity produced? Or will we take it as it is, just like how we took the batches? Atuljit says yes. Okay, good. How about the others? We'll multiply. Perfect. So you've understood what we are doing here, correct? So we will take the number of machine operations given in the question. That's 6, 3, and 2. Now we will take the total machine hours, machine operations, which will be 4,000 into 6. Similarly, 3,000 into 3 and 1,600 units into 3,200. The simple reason for multiplying is that each bottle requires, like let's take a bottle as an example. Each bottle requires 6 operations of the machine. The machine has to start, the machine has to run something, the machine has to break something, the machine has to mix something. So many operations are there. So six operations for A, 3 operations for B, 2 operations for C. So we have to multiply it with the units produced. Now this will finally give us the total machine operations cost driver. I hope you have understood how we calculated the cost driver for each, correct? Now, moving on to the rate per cost driver. What is the rate per cost driver? So if you go back to the question, these are the three cost drivers we have: material handling, storage costs, and electricity. Correct? Material handling. This is our activities. Storage cost and electricity. Can you repeat about the batches? Okay, I'll do that again. Okay, now batches, for example, if I just illustrate it here, let's say a company is producing bottles, okay, and the company has to produce 4,000 bottles. Okay, this is the target that it has to produce. Now, what you need to understand is in an organization, when you produce something, you will not straight away, click on the machine 4,000 bottles and it will not be producing 4,000 bottles in a day. That the machine will go mad, right? So what the organization does is it reduces the load by splitting it into batches. So batches mean the total number of splits the production will have. So these 4,000 bottles is split into batches of, so each batch, so if there are 10 batches, each batch will produce 400 bottles. Correct? So we know that for 4,000 bottles, already it's given that the batches is going to be 10. So we will not again multiply 10 batches into 4,000 units. That is stupidity because 10 batches is what it will take to produce 4,000 units. So imagine like this, like in a factory, 4,000 bottles need to be produced in 10 batches. So each batch will have 400 bottles, 400 bottles, 400 bottles, 400 bottles. From an activity-based costing purpose, for the activity, how many batches it will take? 10 batches. You will not multiply the 10 batches into 4,000 units. Because each unit is not taking one batch. The whole 4,000 units is being produced in 10 batches. Is that clear, Atul? Or do you want me to illustrate further? Clear? Okay. All right. So let's move ahead. The rate per cost driver. So now what we do is after we have found the total cost drivers, we'll go ahead and find the rate per driver, which is nothing but our overhead rate. Correct? Rate. What is our material handling cost given to? It's already given here, right? 29,100. Storage cost is given to be 31,200. Electricity is given to be 39,150. Okay. Then we have found out the cost drivers here. Material handling is based on the weight. So that is a total of 38,800. Storage cost we have based on the storage cost was based on batches. So we'll take the total batches. Electricity was based on the machine operation. Correct? So this is the drivers that is driving the particular activity. So what is the rate per driver? Simple. Total cost divided by cost drive. So that will give me 0.75, 1040 and 1.0 per machine. Is it clear so far, everybody? Has everybody followed till here about how to calculate the rate per driver? Is there any confusion? Fawaz, do you have some doubt? Please let me know what's your doubt. Thank you, Anjali. How about the others? Fawaz is asking, how do you get the total machine operation? Okay, you just multiply the machine number of, this is given in the question, the number of machine operations, correct? For each unit. You multiply it with the units, total units. So 4,000 into 6 will give me 24,000. 3,000 into 3 will give me 9,000. Is it clear now? Okay. So this way you have arrived at the cost drivers and we have come at the rate per driver. All right. So once we have arrived at the rate per driver, now it is simple. Now we can go ahead and calculate our total cost. So how will we calculate our total cost? We have already calculated the direct material above. We will just take the same for the normal one we have taken, right? We'll take the same. So for A, it is 8 rupees. For B, it is 12 rupees. And for C, ma'am, please repeat the rate per hour. Okay, not rate per hour. You mean the rate per driver, right? So rate per driver is very simple. You just do see the formula I have. You take the total cost and divide it by the total cost driver. That will give you the rate per driver. Similar to the overhead rate. Remember in overhead rate also, you take the budgeted cost by the budgeted hours. Here, instead of budgeted hours concept, it is a cost driver concept. You will just replace that budgeted hours with the cost driver and you will get the rate per driver. So try to link it with how you used to do overheads and it will become easier. 29,100. This is given in the question for us. These costs, this is the total costs. This is given in the question. If you see here, given in the question. Okay, and then this we calculated, and then we find the rate per driver. Okay, I hope it's clear now. Okay, great. So now we have the rate per driver. So now we can go ahead and we can find the cost per unit. So now we'll take the direct material. We've already found it above. Direct labor also we have found it above. If you go up, we have found it here, 5 rupees. For B, we have found it as 7.5. And for C, we have found it as 10 rupees. So this should be clear. Then we go ahead into production overheads using ABC method. So how do we do that? So first we have now here is material handling costs. Correct? Material handling cost means you will multiply here. Okay. Now, to make it more simplified, I will first calculate the overheads so that you are not confused. I don't want you to get confused here. So I will calculate the overheads cost using ABC first, and then we'll put it in the total cost sheet. I hope that's okay for you. So let's take it this way. Questions to the group. Okay. Is it possible to attach it here? Okay. I will attach it right away. Just give me a minute. So I think I've sent it to. Has everyone received the PDF? For us, have you received it? Has everybody received? Please let me know. Okay, great. So you can use this. We are on page number 5.14 with illustration 1. So you can use the PDF to refer the question. All right. So let's go ahead and calculate the overhead cost using ABC analysis. How do we do that? So we know that these are the 3 activities, correct? So if you have to calculate the cost now, I'll remove it from here, okay, so that it's not confusing. We already have it here. Material handling is how much? 0.75 into, what is the cost driver here? 16,000 divided by 38,800. What just happened? Oh, sorry. So you just multiply the rate per driver into the total weight of 16,000. Correct? Then for product B, you multiply that rate with the cost driver for product B of 18,000. For product C, you will multiply the rate per driver into the total weight for product C. Is everybody following how we are calculating the overhead for each product using the activity here? Then we will take for storage cost, the rate per driver is 1040. We'll multiply that with the batches, which is 10. Similarly, with the batches for B and C, which is 5. And for C, which is 15. So this will give me the total overhead cost allocated for that particular activity. Then we have the electricity, which is 1.08, which is my rate per driver. To multiply it with the drive, which is 24,000. Then again 1.08 into 9,000, which will give me 9733. 1.08 into 3,200 machine operations, which will give me 3460 rupees. So if I have to take the total cost now, it comes to 48,355, 28,433, and 22,660. Has everybody understood how we calculated this total overheads for each activity of each product? Is everybody clear so far with this calculation? Clear. Thank you, Nada. How about the others? Okay, great. Can you repeat the storage cost? Simple. Storage cost is also simple. So you have the total rate per driver is 1040, Atul. And we know that each product has taken 10 batch here, 5 batches here, 15 batches. So we just straightforward 1040 into the 10 batches, 1040 into 5 batches, 1040 into 15 batches. And that will give me my storage cost for each product. Is that okay, Atul? Okay. So I hope this is clear how we finally calculated the overhead cost. So here we can take now our quantity. We know it is 4,000 units, 3,000 units, 3,000 units and 1,600 units. Correct? So we will get our or instead of doing it this way, okay, let's take our total cost for it. The total prime cost 8 plus 5, which is 13, 12 plus 7.5, which is 19.5, and this is 16. This gives me my prime cost. If I multiply my prime cost per unit, so this is prime cost per unit. If I multiply the total prime cost per unit into the quantity, that will give me nothing but the total prime cost for all units. Right? So 13 into 4,000, 19.5 into 3,000, and 16 into 1,600 will give me the total prime cost. To this, all I have to do is add the overhead cost that we have found above using ABC. So just take the 48,355, add it here. Take the 28,433, add it here. Take the 22,660 and add it here. That's like my overhead cost. And then the total cost for all units is simple. My prime cost plus my overhead cost, which will be equal to 32,000 plus the overhead cost that we calculated. So this will give me the total cost for all units using ABC analysis method. That is activity-based costing. So it's simple. What you need to understand is in ABC, first you have to find out your cost drivers, right? What is your total cost drivers? Once you've found your cost driver, find out the rate per driver. Once you've found the rate per driver by dividing the total cost by the cost driver, you can allocate the overhead cost to each of the activities based on this rate per driver. And you will get the ABC cost, product cost for each. This is your total overheads. Now, this overheads is simple. You will just add it to the total cost of the product. You know how to find the material, labor, and multiply it with the quantity and find the total prime cost. To this, we added the overhead cost, and then we found out the total cost for all the units that we have produced. Is it simple so far? Has everybody understood and followed? So I hope you remember, right? When we did the cost sheet, we take the DM, direct material, the direct labor, and the overheads, and then we get the total cost. That's literally what we are doing here. The direct material, the direct labor, the overheads, and then we get the total cost. So first we had this per unit. We multiplied it with the total units and got it for the total units. Then we added the total overheads, and then we got the total cost for all units. Is it clear so far? Please let me know in the chat box. Okay, thank you, Nada. How about the others? Okay. So this is how you need to understand how to calculate ABC. The more you practice the questions, the more you try to solve questions by yourself. Look at the question, try to solve it by yourself. The more you will be, it will be easier for you to attempt the question. Otherwise, if I keep telling and if you're just following with me in the class, yes, you will gain an understanding. But eventually, you need to understand how to do the sum by yourself. Otherwise, in the exam hall, you will get the question and you will just look at the question and be like, how do I start this question? What is the first step should I do? Should I find the cost driver? Should I find the total cost? Should I divide here? Should I multiply here? It will be very confusing in the exam. So every day after the class, try to solve questions. Try, like now we finish the overhead, try to at least take 2-3 questions and resolve them. And then find out how you are approaching the question. Were you able to attempt the question without looking at the answer? So try to do that, and then this will become easier for you to know how to start the question, how to approach the question, and how to find the final answer. I hope this is something, all the students try to put it in practice. Okay then, so that was our first illustration. It was a simple illustration. I hope everybody understood how the approach was. So let's move ahead and start with the second illustration now. Illustration 2. Okay, so let's read through this question. MST Limited has collected the following data for its two activities. It calculates activity cost rates based on cost driver capacity. So what does this mean? Is it using overhead traditional costing or is it using activity based costing? Anybody in the chat box? ABC, perfect, exactly. So this is ABC method. Now, activities, power and quality inspection. So this is already given in the question, the activities. The cost driver is also given for us. It is based on kilowatt hours and number of inspections. The capacity is given to be 50,000 kilowatt hours and 10,000 inspections. Cost is given to be 2 lakh rupees and 3 lakh rupees each. Total cost. Most of the information is given to you. The company makes three products, M, S, and T. For the year ended 31st March, the following consumption of cost drivers was reported. For product M, 10,000 kilowatt hours and 3,500 inspections. For product S, 20,000 kilowatt hours and 2,500 quality inspections. For product T, it was 15,000 kilowatt hours and 3,000 quality inspections. What is the question asking us to do? Compute the cost allocated to each product from each activity. Calculate the cost of unused capacity for each activity. Discuss the factors the management considers in choosing a capacity level to compute the budgeted fixed overhead cost. So the first one is easy. Allocate the cost based on each activity. Most of the information is given. The total cost is given. Cost drivers are given. We just need to multiply and find out the amount. Then we have to see what is the unused capacity, and we will discuss the factors that the management can consider. All right. So the first step will be calculating the cost rate per cost driver. So we have the cost, total cost, and we have the total cost drivers. Correct? So let's find out the cost rate per driver. So how do we do that? We know that the activities are power and quality inspections. Correct? These are our activities. How much power is required? 50,000. Right. So let me show you. Let's go this way. The cost driver, and then we calculate the rate per driver. Correct? What is the cost of power? Can somebody tell me in the chat box? What is the total cost given for power? Thank you, Nada. 2 lakhs. And for quality inspection? 3 lakhs. Okay, perfect. How about the cost driver for power? What is the total kilowatt hours given for power? $50,000. Thank you, Anjali. And what about quality inspection? 10,000. Great. Thank you. So we get the rate per driver here as 2 lakh divided by 50,000 and 3 lakh divided by 10,000, which is 4 per kilowatt hour, 30 per inspection. This is our first to find out the rate per drive. It is nothing but our overhead rate. Now, next step, allocating this cost based on the rate per driver. So we have our products M, S, and T. So we have power, and we have quality inspections. So for M, how many kilowatt hours do we have? In the question, what's given? Can somebody tell me what is the kilowatt hours for M? 10,000. Perfect. So 10,000 into 4. Thank you for us. Correct. For S, what is the kilowatt hours? 20,000. Okay, perfect. And for T, 15,000. Thank you so much. Okay. How about the quality inspections? How many for M? 3,500. How many for S? 2,500. And how many for T? 3,000. Okay. Thank you so much, Anjali. So that's it. We got our product-wise cost that has been allocated. Correct? So we can do a total here. So for M, we have a total overhead cost of 1,000, 1,45,000, 1,55,000, and 1,03,000. Now, what you need to understand in the question is that, let's do an article in this one. The question is saying, what is the cost of unused capacity? So you know that totally we had 2 lakh worth cost for power and 3 lakh worth cost for quality inspections. But now if I total and see, my power has actually used only 1,80,000 and my quality inspection has used only 2,70,000. That means some amount of the cost. That means your capacity is there, 2 lakhs worth budget you have kept to utilize, but you utilized only 1,80,000. And for 3 lakh, you have 3 lakh is what your budgeted capacity was, but you have used only 2,70,000. So all they are asking us to find the unused capacity. So how do we do that? It's simple. We'll just find out the for power. It will be 2 lakhs minus 1,80,000. We can do it like this. Correct? And for quality inspections, how much is the unused capacity? 3 lakhs minus 2,70,000. Correct? So this is my total of unused capacity, which I could have utilized, but I did not. Right? So what is the management asking now? Discuss the factors the management considers in choosing a capacity level to compute the budgeted fixed overhead cost rate. Okay. So this, in my opinion, it is like a theoretical question asking you what is the considerations that the management should keep in mind in choosing that capacity level for basically to understand how what are the activities they should choose, what is the cost drivers they should choose, what is the capacity they should choose. Unused capacity. Okay. Unused capacity is simple for us. We have been given in the question that the budgeted cost for power is supposed to be 2 lakhs and for quality inspection is supposed to be 3 lakhs. Correct? This is given in the question. But after we allocated the cost to the product based on the rate per driver, we see that the power was only allocated at 1,80,000 and for quality inspection it was allocated only for 2,70,000. We budgeted for 2 lakh, we used only 1.8 lakh. We budgeted for 3 lakhs, we used only 270,000. There is a difference, right? That difference when we find, we get to know that 50,000 worth capacity was unused with respect to power and inspections. So that gives us the unused capacity. You could have utilized up to 2 lakhs, but you have utilized only up to 1,80,000. Is it clear for us? Yeah, okay. So this is something you have to what the manager will consider before choosing the activities. So these are a couple of few points you can think of what the management can consider before choosing these cost drivers. Factors, theoretical aspect, but still very important because it's something that will carry weightage in the exam. So you should always understand how to be able to communicate theory in the practical answers. Factors to be considered by the management for choosing the capacity level to compute. So, what are the different kinds of factors you can think of? The first thing we can think of is effect on the financial state. Correct? So, if I know that uh, a particular product is utilizing power and quality inspection with respect to its overhead costs. So I will be able to allocate my costs better. It will be in a more improved manner. I can allocate these costs to the product and it will enhance my financial statements presentation because that way my COGS, the cost of goods sold, my overheads, my net profit per product that I'm going to be displaying in my financial statements, that will be more actual and more accurate. So what will be the effect on the financial statements that you need to consider? The second thing maybe you can think is with respect to effect on the product costing. These are all related, product costing. Like I said, if your product costing is more accurate, your financial statements will be more accurate. The third thing we can think of is effect on pricing. So if my product costing becomes more accurate, I will be able to better price the product and my pricing will eventually lead to better revenue. So that you can see effect on forecasting. Correct? These are the few things you can keep in mind. It's a theoretical point of view, but very important to know how to analyze how things can impact the future. And based on that, the management has to make a decision today. So these are the factors that the management should consider today in order to have a good forecast for tomorrow, a good financials for tomorrow, good pricing for tomorrow, good costing for tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, profits is important and you are doing the costing to get a good profit, to get a good costing. And this is why you are following better cost drivers, better activities, and better ABC analysis. Is it clear? This is theoretical. It's more like how you will present it in the exam, but I'm just helping you understand how you can present it in the exam. I hope it's clear. Okay, perfect. So let's move ahead with the next illustration, which is illustration 3. Forecasting means for us when you're trying to predict your future revenue. You're trying to forecast your revenues or forecast your profits or forecast how much there'll be an increase in cost, stuff like that. That's called forecasting. Is it clear for us? Okay. So let's move on to the next question, illustration 3. ABC Limited manufactures two types of machinery, equipment Y and Z, and applies or absorbs overheads on the basis of direct labor hours. The budgeted overheads and direct labor hours for the month of December are 12,42,500 and 20,000 hours respectively. The information about company's products is as follows. Equipment Y has a budgeted production volume of 2,500 units. Equipment Z has 3,125 units. Direct material cost is 300 rupees per unit and 450 rupees per unit. Direct labor cost is 3 hours at 150 rupees per hour, 4 hours at rupees 150 per hour, which is giving me 450 rupees and 600 rupees. So this is given the direct material and direct labor. ABC Limited overheads of 12.4 to 42 lakh 50,000 can be identified with three major activities. So here again we're getting an activity. We have order processing of 2,10,000, the cost, machine processing of 8,75,000 cost, product inspection of 1,57,500 cost. These activities are driven by number of orders processed, machine hours worked, and inspection hours respectively. So this is the drivers. The drivers is also given here. The data relevant to these activities is as follows: orders processed, machine hours worked, inspection hours. So the drivers is given per product basis also. Assuming use of direct labor hours to absorb production, compute the manufacturing cost. So it's asking us to compute manufacturing cost based on direct labor hours. And assuming activity-based costing, compute the manufacturing cost. The third part is ABC Limited selling prices are based heavily on cost. By using direct labor hours on an application base, calculate the amount of cost distortion. Cost distortion is nothing but basically what is the difference between calculating the overheads on absorption basis, which is traditional costing, versus calculating the overheads based on activity-based costing, right? So I think it's quite a simple question. I don't think there should be much doubt. So I hope we can start this question immediately. So here you can see they have given the budgeted cost at 12,42,000 and 20,000 hours respectively. So this can be utilized to calculate our predetermined rate, overhead rate. So first we're going to absorb the overheads using the traditional costing method. So we find the predetermined rate, which is our budgeted cost, that is budgeted overheads, divided by budgeted hours, correct? So that will give me 12,42,500 divided by 20,000 hours, right? So that gives me 62.125 rate per hour. Are we clear? Then we go ahead and calculate our cost per unit. DM is already given, direct material is given, 300 rupees for Y and 450 rupees for Z. Then we have our direct labor hours, is given to be 450 rupees for Y and 600 rupees for Z. Overheads. Overheads will be absorbed based on direct labor hours, correct? So we will use these hours, 3 hours and 4 hours to absorb the overhead rate. So for Y it is 3 hours. So here we will do 62.125, which is our overhead rate, into 3 hours. Give me 186.375. And for Z it is 4 hours into 62.125. So this way I will get my total unit cost based on absorption costing or the traditional method to be 936.37 for Y and 129.8.5 for Z. So this is nothing but your cost per unit. Is everybody clear so far? For the traditional costing method, everybody's clear? Is there any confusion here? Please let me know in the chat box. All clear so far? Okay, okay. Thank you, Nada. Thank you, Naja. How about the others? Okay. Okay, Prabhas, thank you. So I think it's all clear till here. So now we move into the main part, which is our ABC costing. So ABC costing, first we will have to find out the cost driver rate. How do we find out the cost driver rate? First, find out what is the activities. Activities is order processing, machine processing, and product inspection. Let's put that down here. Order processing, machine processing, and inspection. Correct? Make this bold. Now, order processing, what is the cost given here? 2,10,000. For machine processing, can somebody help me out with the cost? Machine processing, what is the cost? Eight lakh 75,000. Thank you, Anjali. How about inspection? 1,57,500. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Cost driver level. Now, how do we get the cost driver level? That is also given in the question. Nothing to calculate. Great. So it's given for total order processed is 600. Total machine hours worked is 50,000. And inspection is 15,000 hours. So what is the cost driver rate? Overhead cost divided by cost driver level, so on and so forth. So that way we have calculated our cost driver rate. Simple. That's the first step. Now let's calculate our overheads. How do we calculate our overheads? So this is our activities. Paste it here. Order processing basis is what? Orders processed. Correct? So this will be rate into how many orders for X in the question? 350. Fawaz says 2,300. Why did you say 2,300, Fawaz? Okay, okay. So 350, right? And how is it for Y? 250. Similarly, machine processing basis is machine hours worked. Correct? So 17.5 into what is the machine hours worked? 23,000, correct? Similarly, for Y, it is 7.5 into machine hours worked, 27,000. Inspection, 10.5 into 15,000 hours, correct? 4,000 inspection hours given in the question. And 10.5 into 11,000 inspection hours. So this will give me the total cost right? So this will give me the total overhead cost. Correct? I hope everybody is following. Inspection hours. Inspection cost is of inspection. So we have allocated the costs for the different activities. And if you just sum up the total, we get 5,67,000 for X and 6,755,500 for Y. Is everybody clear till here? Any confusion, any doubts? So we just nothing. What we've done is we've taken the driver, the cost driver per rate per cost driver, and we've multiplied it with the cost drivers for that particular product. And then we find out these amounts. Is it clear till here? Please let me know in the chat box if there's any doubts. All clear, right? How about the others? Clear, okay. Now we have the units. So let's take the cost per unit. The units is given in the question here. You see above, it's already given 2,500 and 3,125. 2,500 units and 3,125 units. So how do you take the cost per unit? 5,67,000 divided by 2,500. Thank you, AD. Yes, that's the correct answer. And for Y, it will be 6,75,500 divided by 3,125 units. That gives me 216.16. So this is the overhead cost per unit. Now we will find out the total cost. Total cost will include not just overheads, it will have DM plus DL as well. So direct material, direct labor, and your overhead cost. Correct? This you already have it in the question. Direct material 300. For Y, it is 450. Direct labor is 450 and 600 rupees. This is given in the question itself. For overhead cost, we will take what we have calculated, and here we will take 216.16, and we get 24,42,000. What is that amount? AD, can you tell me how did you arrive at that amount? Or did you multiply it with the total units? Is that what you did? Okay, got it. Okay, perfect. That's also a good thing to do. But I have kept it with the per unit amount because here we have found it as cost per unit. So for comparison, it will be easier. Okay. So now in traditional method, we have found the cost per unit, and as per activity based, we have found the cost per unit. So the next step is to compare the difference, correct? The traditional costing, we have found it here as 936.375 and 1298.5. In ABC costing, we have found it as 976.8 and 1266.16. So let's see what is the difference. Traditional costing minus ABC costing. So 40 rupees difference and 32 rupees difference. So this, what I have done here, the reason for doing this is to actually understand what is the benefit you're getting from changing from a traditional costing method to an ABC method, right? How does it help? How does it benefit you is something we need to understand and know, correct? We were following traditional costing method, finding a predetermined rate based on direct labor hours, allocating the overheads. What's the big deal? The reason for ABC costing is it gives you a more accurate means to allocate cost. You're not just taking big five. Let's say a company has 5 departments. You just take the 5 departments and allocate the cost. No, you're going into more detail. You're going into what are the activities, because what is the final thing that is generating revenue for the organization? The department as a whole is not generating revenue, right? Department is just one department, one big office of 4 walls. But it is the activities that go on in that department that generate that revenue, or right, the costs that are incurred for those activities that are run. If the department is just there with tables and chairs, what is the revenue it's generating? What are the costs incurred? Nothing, right? Only once they start using that machines and the tables and the chairs, there will be some value added to that department. So when you use activity-based costing, remember you are getting more accurate with the costing. And when you get more accurate with the costing, you get to know what is a better way of allocating cost to that particular product. So if you see here, in traditional costing, I was thinking that product X would have a cost of 936. But now when I used ABC costing, I know that it is actually not 936, it is 976. So till now, I was under costing my product. So when I started with ABC costing, I have understood that no, this is a more expensive product and more cost needs to be allocated per unit for this particular product. Similarly, for Y, you can see here I was actually costing it more. In reality, it is lesser. So it is only 1266, which is giving me a difference of 32.34. So when this is the difference, now I can reduce my cost. I can bring it down to 1266, and that way the selling price will reduce and more people will find it beneficial to buy this product. Correct? So this is what you need to analyze by knowing why you're switching from traditional costing to ABC costing. Is it clear, everybody? Shall we proceed with the next illustration? Everybody? Okay. All right. So let's go to the next illustration. Illustration number 4. We'll finish off this illustration and then we can take a break, or do you want to break now? Break. Okay. Okay, so let's take a quick 10-minute break and be back. So it is 11:25, 11:27. So let's be back by 11:35. Okay, all right. So all of you can be back by 11:35. Hello, everybody. Are you back? Please let me know in the chat box. Okay, great. How about the others? We'll start coming back. Okay, so I think let's resume. Let me start sharing. Is everybody able to see my screen? Okay, great. All right, so let's begin with illustration 4. Hamara Apna Bank offers 3 products, that is deposits, loans, and credit cards. The bank has selected 4 activities for a detailed budgeting exercise following activity-based costing methods. The bank wants to know the product-wise total cost per unit for the selected activity so that prices may be fixed accordingly. The following information is made available to formulate the budget. These are the different activities that are given: ATM services, machine maintenance, rents, currency replenishment cost, computer processing, issuing statements, etc. Computer inquiries. Okay, so we have the activities, we have the present cost. Please note this is the present cost. What we need is what is the expected cost, because that's how we will budget our costing, correct? So they, instead of giving the budgeted cost directly, what they've done here is they've given us some information about the budgeted cost. What information? For machine maintenance, they are saying it is all fixed, there is no change. For rents, again, fully fixed, no change. For currency replenishment cost, they're saying that it is expected to double during the budgeted period. Then for computer processing, half of this amount is fixed and no change. The variable portion is expected to increase by 3 times. Issuing statements, presently 3 lakh customers, 3 lakh statements are made in the budget period. 5 lakh statements are expected. For every increase of 1 lakh rupees is the budgeted increase. So with every increase, there is again a 1 lakh. And we know it's increasing from 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs. So there will be naturally a 2 lakh rupee increase in the budget. Computer inquiries estimated to increase by 80% during the budgeted period. This activity is driven by telephone minutes. The activity drivers and their budgeted quantifies are given below. Activity drivers: number of ATM transactions, computer processing, statements, telephone minutes, and they have given you the drivers here, activity drivers. So everything is given in this question. The bank budgets a volume of 58,600 deposit accounts, 13,000 loan accounts, and 14,000 credit card accounts. Calculate the budgeted rate for each activity. Prepare the budgeted cost statement activity-wise. Cost statement activity-wise. Compute the budgeted product cost per account for each product using 1 and 2 above. Okay. So now I think what we are expected to find out here is the budgeted rate for each activity. Budgeted rate for each activity is nothing but the cost driver. Correct. We have found out the cost driver, right? So that rate per driver, that is the budgeted rate for each activity. And then the cost statement activity wise. Then we allocate the cost to each product. So let's begin with the first step, which is finding out what is the cost. Correct. So if you remember the structure of which we always solve these questions, first thing we do is we find out the cost. Correct. Now the problem here is they have given us the present cost, not the budgeted cost. Budgeted cost is something we have to find. So let's try to find out the budgeted cost by ourselves. So first one is the ATM services. ATM services has machine maintenance, what is the basis for this? 4 lakhs. It's given, same. Isn't it? Please read the question. All fixed, no change. So whatever is not changed, we'll keep it as it is. So this will be same 4 lakhs. Rents, same 2 lakhs. Currency replenishment. Currency replenishment has a change. What is the change? It says that it's going to get doubled during the budgeted period. 1 lakh will become now 2 lakhs. Okay. That gives me a total cost for ATM services, 8 lakh rupees. Let's go to computer processing. Computer processing says that half this amount is fixed and no change. So 2,50,000 will remain same. And the remaining half is going to become 3 times. So that will be 2,50,000 into 3. That will be 10 lakhs. Correct? So that will be, let me put it here for your understanding. 2,50,000 into 3. Is everybody okay till here so far? All good? Everybody is following? Okay, thank you, Taslima. Everybody else is also following? Okay, great. So now we have the issuing statements. Issuing statement is presently 3 lakh statements are made in the budget period and it's going to become 5 lakh. So when it's going to become 5 lakh, it's saying that for every increase of 1 lakh statement, 1 lakh rupees is the budgeted increase. So there is a difference of 2 lakh. So naturally there will be a 2 lakh increase, right? So currently it is 18 lakhs in the question. And this is going to increase by 2 lakhs. How did I come at 2 lakhs? Nothing. 5 lakhs minus 3 lakhs. Simple. So this gives me a total of 20 lakhs. Last is computer inquiries. Computer inquiries is set to increase by 80% during the period. So 2 lakh plus 80%. So what can you say that is? 2 lakhs plus 80%. It will give me 2 lakhs into 180%, which is 3,60,000. So this way we have arrived with the total cost, the budgeted cost for each activity. So these are my activities and these are my costs. So we have arrived, the first step is done of coming to the cost. Now coming to the activity. That is the rate per driver. So we have our ATM services, our computer processing, our issuing statements, and our computer inquiries. So these are the different activities we have. What is the budgeted cost? We have found out. For ATM services, it is 8 lakhs. For computer processing, it is 10 lakhs. For issuing statements, it is 20 lakhs. For computer inquiries, it is 3.6 lakhs. What are the cost drivers? Let's go back to the question. They've already given us the cost drivers. ATM machine, 1,50,000 plus 0 plus 50,000. Let's put that here. 1,50,000 plus 50,000, 2 lakhs. Computer processing, 15 lakh plus 2 lakh plus 3 lakh. That is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Correct? So let me put it in the formula. 15 lakhs plus 3 lakhs plus 2 lakhs. That will give us 20 lakhs. Issuing statements. 3,50,000 plus 50,000 plus 1 lakh. 3,50,000 plus 50,000 plus 1 lakh. gives me 5 lakhs. Computer inquiry, 3,60,000 plus 1,80,000 plus 1,80,000. Plus 1,80,000. So this gives me my total cost driver. Everybody following so far, any questions, any doubts? Shall I proceed with the rate per driver? Clear. Okay. Rate per driver is my budgeted cost by the cost driver. That will give me 4 for ATM services, 0.5 for computer operations, computer processing, 4 for issuing statements, and 0.5 for computer inquiry. So this is my rate per driver that I have found out by dividing budgeted cost by the cost driver. Now, next step is what? Allocating these activities to the different products that we have: deposits, loans, and credit cards. These are the different products or services that the bank is providing. So now we have these activities, correct? Let's put that again. ATM services, computer processing, issuing statements, and computer inquiry. Now, for deposits, we have 1,50,000 deposits. We will multiply 1,50,000 into the cost driver for ATM services is 4. Then for loans, I think for loans we don't have anything, it's 0. We keep it as 0. For credit card, 4 into 50,000. Here is 50,000. We do want to take up the ring screen. Okay, so we just kept it here for convenience so that we can quickly do it. So it's equal to 4 into 50,000. Right, computer processing is 0.5 into 15 lakhs. Okay. 0.5 into 2 lakhs. 0.5 into 3 lakhs. Issuing statements 4 into 3,50,000. 4 into 50,000. 4 into 1 lakh. Computer inquiries 0.5 into 3,60,000. 0.5 into 1,80,000. 0.5 into 1,80,000. So this gives us a total cost for deposits 29,30,000, 39 lakhs, so 3,90,000 and 8,40,000. Is everybody clear so far at how we have arrived at these costs? We just multiplied the rate per driver with the drivers and we have gotten the total cost. Is this okay, everybody? Okay, thank you, Anjali. How about the others? Okay, thank you, dear. Clear. Okay, perfect. So everybody is following so far. Now, let's find the cost per unit because I think that is what they wanted. Cost per account. Okay. I don't think we need the cost per unit as such. What we can do is, okay, for information purpose, we can find this out also. Let's just do the cost per unit, just additional information. We have the units given in the question to be We have it here. These are the units, right? So we can also find the cost per unit. We have 58,600 deposit. We have 13,000 loans that is given, and we have 14,000 credit cards that have been given by the bank. We can divide the cost by the unit and get the cost per unit. Is this okay? Is everybody following? All okay? Everybody following? That's it. This brings us to the end of the question. We had to calculate the rate per driver, the cost, and the final cost of the product. And in addition, we've also done one cost per unit. That's it. We just took the total units of the bank for each product, and we have divided the cost by those units and gotten the cost per unit. So is it clear for everybody so far? Then we proceed with the next question. Okay, perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the test your knowledge questions. The test your knowledge questions is, there are around 5 questions. I don't want to solve all in class because I want you all to also voluntarily solve questions. So I have just picked up 3 questions. Okay, so we will just solve 3 of those 5 questions, and the rest I would prefer if you all solve it by yourself. I hope that's okay, right? Because you also need some practice to solve questions by yourself. So let's take out the questions now. Question number 2. Okay, so these are our practice problems. So this is the first question that we're going to be solving. So I hope everybody is able to see the question in their PDFs. Let's begin. RST Limited specializes in the distribution of pharmaceutical products. It buys from the pharmaceutical companies and resells to each of the 3 different markets: general supermarket chains, drugstore chains, chemist shops. The following data for the month of April in respect of RST Limited has been reported: general supermarket chains, drugstore chains, chemist shops. Average revenue, average COGS, number of deliveries. Revenue per delivery, and they're given the delivery. In the past, RST Limited used gross margin percentage to evaluate the relative profitability of its distribution channels. The company plans to use now activity-based costing for analyzing the profitability of its distribution channels. The activity analysis of RST Limited is as under. This is the activity areas, this is the cost trends. The April month's operating cost other than COGS of RST Limited are 8,27,970. So this is a cost in addition to the cost of goods sold. These operating costs are assigned to 5 activity areas. The cost in each area and the quantity of the cost allocation used in that area for the month of April are as follows. So they have given us the activities, they've given us the cost, they've given us the total cost drivers. Perfect. All we need to find out is now one rate per driver. Just divide the cost by the drivers because everything is given for us. Other data for the month of April includes the following: total number of orders 385, 994, 125, average number of orders. So this is given as a total for the entire entity, and this they have now split it into the different products. Right? These are the different products or services they are looking at, and they've given us the cost drivers for each. Questions. Compute the gross margin percentage and RST Limited's operating income. Okay. Compute the rate per unit of the cost allocation base for each of the 5 activity areas. Compute the operating income of each distribution channel using the activity-based costing information. Okay. Now, what new insights are available with the activity-based cost information? Describe 4 challenges one would face in assigning the total operating cost of 8,27,970. Okay. So going back to the question before we head to the answer, let's try to understand what is the information given. The thing about costing is that a lot of information will be given. Some information is relevant, sometimes it might not be relevant. but you have to know what's relevant and start working on that information. So if you look at this question, first thing you need to identify general supermarkets, drugstores, and chemists. These are the different products. Okay. So finally, you have to calculate the gross margin, net profit margin, whatever you have to calculate. It has to be for the products. This is your ultimate products. The next thing they have given is the details for the products. They have given you the revenue per delivery, they've given you the cost per delivery, and they have also given you the number of deliveries. So if you multiply this with the delivery, you will get the total, correct? Now they're saying that we need to try to use ABC. They're currently not using ABC, so they want to approach and adapt ABC costing in their costing system. So for that, they've given the activity area, the cost drivers, the total cost per activity, and the total cost drivers for the activity. The thing to note here is this point. The April month's operating costs other than COGS are 8,27,970. So now this 8,27,970 is currently not allocated to the products. It is just taken as a lump sum and put into the cost. And that is why they want activity-based costing, so that they can allocate this 8,27,970 based on the cost drivers into each product that the pharmaceutical company has. Understood? So that's what we have to do. So first, let's find out what is their company pre-ABC, pre-activity-based costing, how they are able to do the costing. So let's get into the answer now. Okay. So first, they have asked us to calculate the margin on a normal basis. How do we do that? First will be revenue less COGS. That will give me my gross margin, right? After that, I will have my other operating cost of that 8,27,000, which is not allocated, right? Then we will get our operating income, and then we can calculate our gross margin percentage. Is that okay, everybody? So let's go. Now revenues. Revenues over here we can see, oops, it's given to be 84,975 per delivery. So we are going to multiply it with the delivery. So that will be 84,975 into 330 deliveries. Drugstore 28,875 into 825 deliveries. Chemist shop 5,445 into 2,750 deliveries. Correct? So this gives us a total of 6 crore 68 lakh 37,000. That's a huge amount. So nothing, we just multiplied the COGS per delivery into delivery. Less COGS. COGS is, first thing we've done is for revenue into delivery. Now we'll do COGS into delivery. So COGS will be 82,500 into 330 rupees. Sorry, 82,500 rupees into 330 deliveries. For drugstore, it is 27,500 rupees into 825 deliveries. 4,950 rupees into 2,750 deliveries. Correct? So that gives me 63,52,500. What is my gross margin? Gross margin is nothing but sales minus COGS. Correct? So that's my gross margin. Now, other operating cost. What is my other operating cost? Given to be 8,27,970. no allocation because they are not using ABC right now. ABC is what they will use and we will find out the costing. So we will directly put the 8,27,970 rupees as a total. In the total we put it. So that will give me an operating income of 33 lakhs minus 8 lakhs. So that is to 24 lakh 84,405, right? And operating income will be the same as my gross margin because no deductions has happened. So now coming to a gross margin percentage. What is my gross margin percentage? Gross margin percentage is gross profit divided by revenues, correct? So that will be, so let me mention it here so that it's easier for you. My gross profit divided by revenue. Is it? And then we can also put a operating income percentage. What is my operating income percentage? The operating income divided by revenue. Okay, so these are the formulas you should remember. It's not a formula, it's just logical, right? Because if you're taking gross margin, it will always be on your revenue, your gross profit on your revenue, and operating income will be your operating income on your revenue. So let's look at that. Gross margin divided by revenue. Taking a percentage. Yeah. Can we follow this percentage? Okay. So following the same formula everywhere. This is my gross profit revenue. Next thing we want is operating income. It will be the same for all the three because there's no change. Only change will happen for the total because the total has that operating cost. So operating income divided by the revenue. That will give me a percentage of 3.72%. So in the total, I can see a difference. But from a product basis, there will be no difference because I have not allocated anything to the products. So that is the disadvantage of not following an activity-based costing because you will not be able to differentiate the amount uh, between the total for each product. You will only have it for the total. So this is one disadvantage that you have. So now let's go ahead and start with the ABC costing. In ABC costing, the first step will always be the cost per driver. We have, go back to the question, we have, these are the activity areas: customer purchase order, line item ordering, store delivery, cartons dispatch, shelf stocking at customer store. Okay, so let's make a note of that. Customer purchase order, line item ordering, store delivery, cartons dispatch, shelf stocking. So these are our various activities. What is our cost that is given? Already given here. Just have to copy it down. 2,20,000, 1,75,560, 1,95,250, 2,09,000, and 28,160. Cost drivers is also given here. 5,500 orders, 58,520 line items, 3,904 store deliveries, 2,09,000 dispatches, 1,760 hours. What is the cost driver? Cost divided by the driver. So same thing we'll do for each. It's 40 for cost per customer purchase. Yes, good one. 80. Line item is 3. Store delivery is 50. Cartons dispatch is 1 per dispatch. Shelf stocking is coming to 16 per hour. So this becomes my cost driver, right? Cost per driver. Everybody clear so far? All good? Shall I proceed? Okay, thank you, Taslima. How about the others? Okay, perfect. Now, coming to the computation of the cost per activity. So as you know, the activities will be multiplied with the cost driver for each product. Each product's cost driver is given over here, 85,990,4,125. So again, let's take a print screen of this so that we have it in front of us. Okay, AD has already calculated. Let's see. So for customer purchase, it will be 40 into, we see here, 385. Okay, that's correct, AD, what you found. 40 into 990, 40 into 4125. Okay, everybody is following, right? Then for line item, we will take 3 into 14. Here it will be, yes, that's correct. 3 into 12 and 3 into 10. That's correct, AD. Well done. For store delivery, we will have 50 into 330, 50 into 825. All given here. I'm just taking it from here, multiply. Very simple. 50 into 2750. Right? Then cartons dispatch, we have 1 into 300. We have 1 into 80. And we have 1 into 60. Okay. So now what you need to understand here is that go back to the question. It says average number of cartons shipped per store delivery. So for each delivery, there is these many cartons that is dispatched. But we need the total number of cartons for the total deliveries. So that means we have to go back to the question and we need to take into account these deliveries. So what the question is saying here is that there have been 300 cartons that have been supplied, but for one delivery, we have a total delivery of 330. So how many cartons would have been needed for 330 deliveries? 300 into those 330 deliveries. Are you able to understand? Let me illustrate it better here. Here, it says that, so for example, let's talk about this 300, right? Okay, so this 300 is what? It is the cartons delivered for one shipped for one delivery. So in one delivery, so I'm sure Amazon deliveries or Flipkart deliveries come home, right? So at one go, let's say you're a company, right? Now let's say you're a company. At one go, they're coming with 300 cartons to your home. But we know that 330 times these deliveries are happening. So if 330 deliveries are happening, then we will have 300 to 330 deliveries, correct? 300 cartons into 330 deliveries. So this will be the cartons shipped for all the deliveries. Understood? Is it clear, everybody? Is this logic clear about multiplying it with the deliveries? Okay. All right. Thank you, Anjali. Okay, perfect. So here we will do another multiplication with the number of deliveries as well. Into 330. Here we will have into 825. And here we'll have into 2750. These are the total deliveries that we have. Okay. Then we have shelf stocking, which is 16 into 3. Again, if you see, it is the average number of hours of shelf stocking per delivery. So each delivery, again, we have to multiply. So be very careful with these wordings. We will again multiply this into 330. Similarly, 16 into 0.6 into 825. 825 deliveries. Then we have 16 into 0.1 into 2750 deliveries. Okay. That gives me a total operating cost of 1,46,782, 1,54,806, and 3,50,930. So this is my total operating cost. Is everybody clear so far? Has everybody understood what the process that we followed of calculating the cost per driver, then calculating the allocating each cost to the different products of the pharmacy? Is it clear till here? Everybody? Okay, perfect. So you have just allocated it. So here, if you see what we did, we just took that 8,27,000 and we added it in the total before in the traditional era. But once we took the ABC, we have allocated the cost for the each product. So now let's go ahead and calculate the revised operating margin for each department or each product of theirs. So how will we do that? Let's get to the, yes. The first thing is gross margin. Gross margin, we can use the same thing as above. We've already calculated it. But this one, before the common costs. 8,16,750, 11,34,375, and for chemist it is 13,61,250. Correct? Now we can add now we can reduce the operating cost. How much? We have already found it here. 1,46,000. Okay, 1 minute. I think there is some glitch here. This one. Line item ordering. So line item ordering is saying average number of line items per order. Correct? So these all things are very important. We need to see if it's given per order or if it's giving per delivery or how. Because then we cannot just directly multiply and leave it. We will need to multiply these with the total number of orders now. Isn't it? Just like how we multiplied this with the deliveries, we'll have to multiply this with the orders as well. because the total orders is 385. This is only for one order. We have made 385 orders, right? So we have to multiply the cost of the total number of line items with the total number of orders. So this one will again be into the total number of orders, which is 385. Is it clear? Everybody has understood what we did here? Into 990. Similarly, here it will be into 413. Everybody clear? Everybody understood what we did here? What was the error we made? Please let me know in the chat box. Has everyone understood? Okay, Anjali, thank you. How about the others? Please, I hope everybody has identified the error that we made. We have to multiply this with the number of orders. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our operating cost and now let's link it. 1,62,910 minus 1,90,410 minus 4,74,600. I hope everybody has got the revised operating cost after we clarified the error. So this will give me a operating income of 6,53,840, 9,43,965, and 8,86,600. Now, if I want to calculate the operating income percentage, how will we calculate that? That is the operating income divided by the revenue. So we have the operating income here and we have the revenue here, correct? So let's use that revenue and find out the revised operating percentage. So that will be 6,53,000 divided by 28 lakhs, no, 2 crores, 2.8 crores. And similarly, we can do it for the drugstore and we can do it for the chemist. So this gives us an operating percentage, operating income percentage for the different stores using the activity-based costing method. So if you see previously, we got a gross percent of 2.91, 4.76 and 9.09. But now when we changed and we saw that for each department, we are able to get a different operating profit margin because now we have considered these costs as part of our product cost itself and not like a separate total operating cost. So that costing has gotten incorporated into this and we get a revised operating income percentage. Is everybody clear so far? Has everybody followed the question and has been able to solve it? Any doubts, any questions, anything you want me to repeat? Clear? Okay, great, Anjali. How about the others? Clear. Okay, great. So now the next part, the third part of the question that is theoretical. Fourth part of the question, which is theoretical, is describe 4 challenges one would face in assigning the total operating cost of 8,27,970. So again, a theoretical question, but something that you can try to, answer it. So now when you see the 3 stores, like just from an analytical point of view, you can see that chemist is the most, profitable department. So of course, now this kind of an information helps the organization understand which department to focus on, which is the more profitable areas. So this could be something beneficial for the company, correct? So if we need to understand what are the challenges that could be faced in assigning the operating cost, probably maybe it could be difficult to identify the activities. It could be difficult to identify the cost drivers. It could be difficult to identify the costs. So these are the few challenges that, a management perspective can face. Difficulty in identifying the cost activities, the cost drivers, the cost for each activities, and so on and so forth. So it can get difficult, right? Like now this is all budgeted. To see how much number of orders we'll have, to see how much number of line items per order we'll have, how many deliveries we'll have. These are all budgeted, right? So it could be difficult for the management to come with an amount. So these are the kind of challenges, the management can face in such kind of a costing method in operating ABC costing. So if you're thinking of the positives, you need to think deeper and think what are the different challenges that an organization can also face apart from the there's just the practical stuff. So a little more analytical mind would be needed to answer these kind of questions. So if you solve a few questions and try to understand and dwell deeper, you should be able to answer these questions. So now we can proceed with the next question, which is question number 4. Question number 3 is something you all can solve by yourself. I want you to try this as a homework question. Question number 4 is something I would like to see us solving together. Shall we proceed with the next question, or do you want a 5-minute break? Is it okay, everybody? Okay, I think let's proceed, yeah? Okay, perfect. Alpha Limited has decided to analyze the profitability of its 5 new customers. It buys bottled water at rupees 90 per case and sells to retail customer at list price of 108 rupees per case. The data buys bottled water at, so let's highlight this here. The data pertaining to 5 customers is as follows. Cases sold, listed selling price, actual selling price. So if you see, there is a difference between the listed selling price and the actual selling price. Even though it was listed for, let's say, for customer C, even though it's listed at 108, we are giving him a sale price of only 99. Generally, what could be the reason for this is, if you have a good relation with the customer is a regular customer, you would prefer to keep him in good terms on, so you will give him a little bit of discounts, right, better than the other customers, so that he knows that he or she is getting the best price from me, and he or she will always be there with will purchase from me only. So this difference becomes the discount that you have between the listed selling price and the actual selling price. Then we have the number of purchase orders: 15, 25, 30, 25, 30. Number of customer visits: 2, 3, 6, 2, 3. Number of deliveries, so these are all your cost drivers, right? It's given here. These are the different activities. This is the cost driver rate per activity. So the cost driver rate is already given. Instead of calculating it, they have already given it to us. Compute the customer level operating income of each of the 5 retail customers now being examined. Comment on the results. State what insights are gained by reporting both the list selling price and the actual selling price for each customer. So again, a simple question, we just have to calculate the customer level operating income. So if you see the question, what is the only different thing in this question is what I felt was the difference between the listed selling price and the actual selling price, which is the discount amount. So that is something you will have to take into consideration. So let's go ahead and calculate the operating cost straight away. because all the information is already given to us. So let's look at the operating activity costs. So we have the activities here: order taking, customer visits, deliveries, product handling, expected deliveries. These are our various activities. Coming back to the cost driver rate is already given. So we just need this. Let's take a print screen of this. Whole thing. Put over here. Okay, because we need this. And we need this also. So let's keep this also here. Keep it here for now. These are our cost rates and this is the cost driver. So let's just multiply one by one. For A, it will be 750 into 15. For B, it will be 750 into 25. So please note for order taking, it will be based on the number of purchase orders. 750 into 30, 750 into 25, and E will be 750 into 30. Correct? That will give me 22,500. Then customer visits. 600 into 2, 600 into 3, 600 into 6, 600 into 2 again, 600 into 3. Deliveries 5.75 per delivery kilometer traveled. So please note it is per delivery kilometer. So we have delivery separate and we have kilometer travel per delivery as separate. So we need to multiply 10 into 20 to get the kilometer per delivery kilometer. Okay. That will be 5.75 into 10 into 20. Got it? 10 into 20. 5.75 into 30 into 6. 5.75 into 60 into 5. 5.75 into 40 into 10. 5.75 into 20 into 30. Right? So we have gotten this. Product handling is 3.75 per cases sold. So what is the number of cases sold? Cases sold is here, 4680. So 3.75 into 4680, 3.75 into 19,688, 3.75 into 136,800, 3.75 into 71,550, 3.75 into 8,775. Okay. The last one is expected deliveries, 2,250 into expected deliveries is 0. So 0, 0, 0 only for Product P, we have something. So here we put 2250 into 1. So this gives us a summary of the total cost to be allocated. Is everybody clear so far? We've just multiplied the cost driver rate with the cost drivers for each product, and we have gotten the total operating cost, the total overhead cost, in other words. Then we can calculate the gross margin. So we have the cases already given, taking it from here itself. These are the cases. 0680, 19688, 136800, 71550, and 8770. Okay, we go back to the question. We have the revenue to be given as 108. So we will take it as 108 into 4680. So this will be the same. 108 is what is the listed price. What we need is the discount. So discount over here is, there is no discount for the first one because I sold at the same. The second one is 108 minus 106.2. So what does that come to? 108 minus 106.2 into the cases sold. That will give me a total discount of 35,000. 108 minus 99 into the cases sold. Right? So this is a discount of 12 lakhs. 108 minus 104.4. That is my discount, right? The difference will be my discount into the cases, and 108 minus 97.2. Into that gives me a discount of 97,000. So now if I have to see the net revenue, which is my sales minus the discount, this is what I will get. Correct? So this is my net revenue. Then what is my COGS given to? My COGS is given to be, what is my cost? My COGS is given to be 90. So I'm just going to do into 90 into the cases sold. So similarly for B, similarly for C, similarly for D, and similarly for E. That will give me a gross margin of minus 4,21,200. Similarly for the rest, this is my gross margin. Is everybody following till here? Do you need some time? Is there something you're not able to understand? Please let me know in the chat box. Any confusion so far? Okay. So now we'll go ahead and we will put our operating cost, which we have found above. It is 31,150, 95,415, 5,40,800, and 6,02,900. So gross margin minus our operating cost will give me my net margin. So this is my final calculation of the cost, customer level operating profit. So this is what was asked for us. The only thing that was different was the discount in this. All right. So what is the reason that the discount is, what is the additional analysis that we can do because of these discounts? So here you can see that You can see who has the higher profit, who has a lower profit, who has a higher discount, who has a lower discount. And you can try to draw an analysis between whether the profit and the discount percentage is actually uh, suitable or not. So let's do that analysis and see. So for example, we have, this is the sales volume, correct? And if you see, the most discount that is given is to, let's look at it from this perspective. So we have A, B, C, D, and E, correct? A has a cases of 4680, B has cases of 19,688, C has of 13,006, 1,36,000, 71,000, and 877,500. Correct? So these are the cases that are sold. Now let's look at the discount that is given. Here we are not giving any discount. Great. So we're giving a discount of how much we found out? 108 minus 106.2. We're giving a discount of 1.8 rupees. For C, we're giving a discount of 108 minus 99. 108 minus 99. For D, we're giving a discount of 108 minus 104.41. And for E, we're giving a discount of 108 minus 97.2. Correct? So you can see from this analysis, now we can see that E is getting the highest amount of discount, but E is not bringing the highest number of cases. Correct? So, and even if you see the profitability, the net margin, E's margin is only coming to 273, which is very poor, right? So we can draw an analysis here that because they're giving such a huge discount to E, that could be a reason for the falling net margin. Maybe E does not deserve this kind of a discount because he's not even purchasing so much from us. So why are we giving such a high discount? So this is something we need to keep in mind. This is the kind of analysis we can draw and think about discounts. And then once we have the net margin, we can draw further analysis, linking it to the profitability of the company. Is that clear? Shall we proceed to the last question? Any doubts in this question so far? Clear. Okay. All right. So let's move into the last question. This is a comprehensive question, and I think we can close with this. We would have completed with our topic. Kind of a big question. Let's look into it. Babysoft is a global brand created by Bioorganic Limited. The company manufactures 3 ranges of beauty soaps: Babysoft Gold, Babysoft Pearl, and Babysoft Diamond. So these are the 3 types of products. This becomes the products. The budgeted cost in production for the month of December are as follows. Babysoft Gold is 4,000. Babysoft Pearl is producing 3,000 units, and Babysoft Diamond is producing 2,000 units. Resources per unit, quantity and rate, quantity and rate, quantity and rate. So what you need to understand is resources per unit means basically your direct material. So this 4 which I've ticked over here and kept, it will be part of your direct material. Okay. So if you see essential oils, 60 ml of essential oil is used for each unit. And what is the rate per ml is also given, so on and so forth. Then if you scroll down, we have direct labor. 30 minutes of direct labor is used for each unit and 10 rupees per hour. So again, there is a minute to hour conversion that we have to take care of. 40 minutes of direct labor are for the pearl product and 60 minutes of direct labors for the diamond product. Bioorganic Limited followed an absorption costing system and absorbed its production overheads using the direct labor head rate, which were budgeted at 1,98,000. So this was what it used to do previous absorption costing system. Now it wants to adopt an activity-based costing system. For this additional information regarding budgeted overheads and their cost drivers, it's provided below. Particulars: forklifting cost, supervising cost, and utilities. Cost drivers: weight of material lifted, direct labor hours, and number of machine operations. So we have the total cost here and we have the cost drivers here, correct? The number of machine operations per unit of production are 5, 5, and 6 for gold, pearl, and diamond. So they have given the number of machine operations per unit separately here. Then for the weight, so if you see, we need three cost drivers. We need weight, we need labor hours, and we need the number of machine operations, correct? Labor hours is given here already, how much labor hours is needed, so that's not a concern. Number of machine operations, they have given it down. So this is my number of machine operations per unit. So again, we will multiply this with the units we have produced to get the total number of machine hours, machine operations. And the next thing for weight, they have given us the conversion. So if you see here, we have an ml, we have in grams, we have an ml, we have in grams. So it is not standardized. So in order to bring it to one standard conversion, they have given us a conversion rate to bring it into kgs. So we will utilize that for the purpose of our calculation of weight. Mass of output produced is equivalent to the mass of input materials taken together. You are requested to, so this is for essential oils and filtered water, they have given a conversion rate. For the remaining, they are saying it will be the same. So that's essential oils and filtered water. So for cocoa butter and chemicals, if 20 grams is used as an input, then 20 grams will be in the output as well. Okay, but here in for 60 ml, what they're saying is that it will get converted into 0.8 each. So you will have to multiply it into 0.8 and that will give you the total grams of the essential oils. I will show you that once we start solving the question. You are requested to prepare a statement showing the unit cost and the total cost of each product using the absorption costing method and a statement showing the product cost of each product using the ABC approach. State what are the reasons for different product cost of the two approaches. So the first one is absorption costing method. That shouldn't be difficult. Something we have done now on more things. So I hope we can solve that part easily. So let's begin with calculating our labor hours because that is the basis for which we will be finding our predetermined rate. We have our actual hours here. Actual output here. For gold, it's given to be 4,000 units. For pearl, it is 3,000 units. And for diamond, it is 2,000 units. What is the labor minutes we have used? 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and 60 minutes. Correct? So what is the total direct labor hours? 4,000 to 30 minutes divided by 60 will give me the total number of hours. Correct? That total number of hours comes to 6,000. This is the same way we had done the first illustration. So I hope everybody's clear with this. That's why I have gone fast with this part. Any doubts in this of how we arrived at the total direct labor hours? Okay, perfect. So what is our overhead rate? As always, budgeted overhead cost divided by budgeted hours. So what will that be? What is our budgeted cost? 1,98,000 divided by 6,000. So 33 rupees per hour is our absorption cost. Now, calculation of the direct material. So over here, if you see, direct material is a bit complicated. You can't just, take a fixed amount from the question and do it. We have to actually sit and calculate for each, for each type based on how much is used for each unit, multiplied with the total units of output, and then come with the resources that is utilized per unit. So let's look at the different inputs that we have. We have essential oil, we have cocoa butter, we have filtered water, and we have chemicals. These are the different raw materials that are being used. So in gold, if you see, they are saying, let's take a print screen of this. So in for gold, if you can see, essential oils is 60 ml for rupees 200 by 100 ml. So how do we do this? Simple. We'll just take. Okay, so we are going to do the costing for each unit. So for 200 rupees for 100 ml. So how much will it be for 60? It will be 60 into 200 by 100. Correct? That will be 120 rupees. Thank you, Anjali. That's the right answer. For pearl, it will be 55 into 300 by 100. It will be 165. For diamond, it will be 65 into 300 by 100. That will be 195. Similarly, please go ahead and try to solve for the others as well. Cocoa butter will be 20 into 200 by 100. For pearl, it will be 20 into 200 by 100. For diamond again, it will be 20 into 200 by 100. Just to give people a clarity, we are just using unitary method. So for 100 ml, if it is 200 rupees, for 60 ml, how much will it be? Yeah. So similarly, we are applying the same concept everywhere. So for 100 grams, it is 200 rupees. For 20 grams, it will be how much? Right? So that's the logic we are applying. So let's go ahead. For filtered water, 30 into 15 by 100, 4.5. For pearl, it will be 12 into 50 by 100. For diamond, it will be 15 into 60 by 100. For chemicals, it will be 10 into 30 by 100. For pearl, it will be 12 into 50 by 100. Or did I take the wrong? Oh, okay, I've meant it. Okay. Filtered water is not 12. Filtered water is 13 into 50 by 15 by 100. Look the next one. And this is 30 into 15 by 100 again. So the same as this. Right? The next one will be 15 into 60 by 100. So that gives me a rate per unit of 167.5, 215.5, and 248.5. Right? So this is the total cost per unit. This is how you will find it. This is how you will first find out the direct material cost, because it's given in a haphazard manner, right? So we have just brought it down to a simple clean table so that we get the total cost per unit, right? So the thing in exam is you will not have this much time. So you have to keep practicing such sums and you have to use your calculator in the best manner possible. You have to be very quick. You don't have time in the exam to sit and draw these tables and charts and all of that. You'll have to be very quick. You'll have to keep down your paper. Everything has to be written in a very structured manner so that the examiner can understand it and you're also quick with it. So this is how you will be able to increase speed by practicing more and more questions within the time frame that you have. All right, because this is a very lengthy question. You will not have so much time in the exam to sit and solve these questions in such detail. You have to be very quick with the way you practice it. All right. Now, coming to the calculation of the unit cost. So we have direct labor that's given in the question. Direct labor again 30 minutes into 10 per hour. So for each minute, for 30 minutes, it will be 30 into 10 by 60. Correct? It will be 40 into 10 by 60. 60 into 10 by 60. Okay, so this is how you will arrive at the direct labor cost per unit. Direct material, which we just calculated, 167.5, 215.5, 248.5, right? Then we have something called as the production overhead. What is the production overhead? It's given at 33. You have to take it at 33. So this will be 33 rupees into, we'll take the same amount. So 33 is per hour. So we will convert it into hours. 30 minutes by 60 minutes. So that will be 16.5. 33 into 40 minutes by 60 minutes, because it is in hours, and 33 into 60 minutes by 60 minutes. That will give me 33. So this will give me my production overheads. Then we have our total unit costs, which will come as the total for pearl and for diamonds. Okay. So this is giving me my total unit cost by adding the direct material, direct labor, and production. So this is, we are still doing it on the basis of the traditional costing method. So then we have our total number of units given as 4,000, 3,000, and 2,000. We will multiply this. And that will give me my total cost under traditional method. Okay. Now we need to understand, is it clear so far? Any questions here? I hope everything was simple here. We have not done anything complicated. It's just about speeding up and calculating faster here. Okay. Thank you, Anjali. How about the others? Everybody else? Okay. So these type of questions just focus on your speed, how fast you use your calculators, how fast you jot down on the paper. The speed has to increase here because it's such a lengthy question, right? You cannot take half an hour in the exam. So work on your speed here. All right. The first one. Now we need to calculate on the basis of ABC costing. So look at ABC costing. ABC costing is telling us that we have these as our activities and these are our cost drivers. Weight of the material lifted, direct labor hours, and number of machine operations, correct? We don't have the weight and the machine operations given. So we need to calculate that. Luckily, direct labor hours, we've already calculated it. So we don't need to recalculate. So let's go ahead and start with our weight. Calculation of cost drivers and calculation of weight. So weight, what is weight given as? We have something here as quantity, right? This is given to us, but it is not in a standard format. Like one is in ml and one is in grams. So we need to bring everything into grams, one single standard, because then we can't compare, right? The cost. We cannot allocate the cost half on ml and half on grams. Everything has to be as either grams or ml. So the conversion they are saying to us is 1 liter of essential oils and filtered water is 0.8 kg and 1 kg respectively. So 1 liter we have 1 liter equal to, let's talk about essential oils. Okay. We have 1 liter of, oh my God. We have 1 liter of essential oils equal to 0.8 kg of 0.8 kg equivalent of essential oils, correct? That's what the question is telling. Everybody knows 1 liter is equal to 1000 ml, right? The conversion, 1 liter, yes, okay. So we can, in other words, we can say 1000 ml will be equal to, if you multiply 0.8 into 1000, that will give me grams, correct? So you can say 1000 ml is equal to 800 grams, correct? So if I again divide this now for each ml, so 1 ml is equal to, I'm dividing by 1000, is equal to 0.8 grams, correct? Is this understood here? Conversion. 1 liter is equal to 1 kg. So 1 ml is equal to 1 liter is equal to 0.8 kg. So 1 ml is equal to 0.8 grams. Okay, so everybody has understood this, right? Now, for filtered water, what are they saying? 1 liter is equal to 1 kg. So that means you can say 1 ml is equal to 1 gram dividing by 1000 in the same format. Is it clear? Yes. So this is all you need to understand, the conversion. So let's go back to the quantity now. The quantity given in the question, 4000, 3000 and 2000. 4000, 3000 and 2000. How do we calculate the weight? Let's bring this here. Okay, let me just keep it on top. So 60 ml into 0.8 will give me the grams. 50 ml into 0.8 will give me the grams. Plus then plus 20 grams. So in the question, if you see, it states that mass of output produced is equivalent to the mass of input materials taken together. So there is no conversion here. We can take it as it is, 20 grams as it is. Because we need grams only, right? We don't have to take anything else. Plus 30 ml into 1, because 1 liter of filtered water was 1 kg of 1 kg. So 1 ml of filtered water will be 1 gram. So we can take the filtered water's ml also as it is. We don't have to convert it basically into 1. So it will be the same. Plus 10 grams. So that gives me a total weight of 108 grams. Has everyone understood the calculation of this? Is there anybody who wants me to repeat it about what we have done? Any doubt about this calculation? You want me to repeat it once more? Okay, actually. So let me take it on the side here. Now, when we want the weight, we want it in grams. Okay, we don't want it in liters and mls and mixture and match. We don't want it. We want it in grams. We have essential oils. We have cocoa butter. We have filtered water. And we have chemicals. Right? This much I think everybody has followed. This is what we have. This one is given as 60 ml. This one is given to be 20 grams. I'm just taking for the first one, which is baby soft gold. This is given to be 30 ml and this is given to be 10 grams, right? So we have this total weight. Now we want to convert it into grams. How do we convert it? Here, if you see, we had done a conversion process. For essential oils, 1 ml is equal to 0.8 grams. So 60 ml will be equal to how many in grams? 60 into 0.8, correct? 20 will be 20 as it is. We don't have to do anything. 30 ml also, we are basically doing 30 into 1 because it says 1 ml is equal to 1 gram for filter. We are just multiplying it into 1. That's it. So it will be the same. 30 ml will become 30 grams. And here again, we will take it as 10 grams. So this way, the total grams will become 48 plus 20 plus 30 plus 10. 108 grams in total. Is it clear, Anjali? Okay. How about the others? Is it clear how we calculated this total grams? Clear. Okay, great. So start solving it now again by yourself. Try to use the same logic. For Pearl, we will take 55 into 0.8 plus 20 plus 30 plus 12. Okay. For diamond, we will take 65 into 0.8 plus 20 plus 30 plus 15, 117. So that gives me a total weight of 4,000 units into 108 grams. Correct? For pearl again, we get 318 and 2,34,000. If I take a total weight here, I'm getting a 9,84,000 total. So this is my cost driver. Correct? Direct labors, we don't need to break ahead for that because we have already calculated it here. So if you see, this is already calculated. We'll just come down here and we'll paste the same. Okay. Now, I hope this is clear. Direct labor hours, we don't need to recalculate because we've already calculated in the part 1 of the question. Now getting into machine operation per unit. Machine operation per unit is given to be number of machine operations per unit of production is 5, 5 and 6 respectively. Remember, this is machine operations per unit. Again, we will multiply it with the total quantity. So it's given 5, 5 and 6. So if you have to take the total, it will be 5 into the quantity. Similarly for pearl and similarly for diamond. So this will be the total machine operations for the total unit. For total unit. Because that's what we want. We don't need only for one unit. We are producing 4,000 units. So we need to see for the total units. Is it clear, everybody, how we calculated this? So this is our cost drivers. Everybody clear so far? Do you want me to repeat this? All good? It's simple. We just had to multiply this 5, 5 and 6 with the quantity. Nothing complicated here. Because it is, in the question it's given, right? Is machine operations per unit. Okay, perfect. We have arrived at our cost drivers. Our total cost drivers is found. So let's go into our rate per driver. So what is our total cost given for forklifting? It is given as 58,000. For supervising, it is given as 60,000. For utilities, it is given as 80,000. What is our driver? Our drivers are, for forklifting, it was weight. For supervising, it was labor hours. And for utilities, it was machine operation. Correct? Weight, labor hours, and machine operation. So we have taken it from what we have calculated. Now we'll calculate the rate per driver, which is cost divided by the driver, cost divided by the driver, cost divided by the driver. So has everybody arrived at this? Has everybody understood this so far? The calculation of rate per driver? Okay, perfect. So now we can proceed with the calculation of the overhead cost for each department. Just give me a minute. Okay, so for forklifting, it will be 0.06 into, go back to forklifting for the gold, it is 4,32,000 kgs, I mean grams. So we're going to use the same method, 0.06 into the cost driver for forklifting pearl. And for diamond, again, it will be 0.06 into diamond. Is it clear? This is fine, everybody? So we're going to do the same thing for the rest. 10 into supervising hours. 10 into pearl. 10 into time. Yeah. Same thing for utilities. 1.7 into 20,000 hours. 1.7 into 15,000 hours. Or 15,000 machine operations. And 1.7 into 12,000. So this gives me a total overhead cost for each department, 79,505. For pearl, it comes to 64,275. And for diamond, it comes to 54,280. Has everybody calculated till here, till the overhead cost? Can we proceed to the calculation of the ABC costing of these overheads and all costs? Let me know if I can proceed. Okay. How about the others? Thank you, Anjali. How about the others? Okay, fine. So now the last step is calculation of the unit cost per ABC. So what we can do here is, maybe we can calculate the unit cost here, right? Yeah, that would be better. Okay, so we have the total units here. We have 4,000, we have 3,000, and we have 2,000, correct? So what would be the overhead cost per unit? 79,506 by 4,000 units, by 3,000 units, and by 2,000 units. So you get the overhead cost per unit here. Okay. So when we calculate the total unit cost, we take the direct material per unit, the direct labor per unit, and the overhead cost per unit, which we have calculated over here. So what is the direct material per unit? I think we have already calculated it above here, 167.5. Similarly, for pearl, we have calculated 215.5. For diamond, it is 248.5. What about the labor? That also we have calculated 5.67. For diamond, we have calculated it as 10. Okay, here we have 19.87, 21.43, and 27.1. So let's take a total. That gives us 192.7. Depending on the decimals that you took, there could be a difference in the decimal amounts. 243.59 and 285.61. So this will be my total cost per unit using ABC analysis or costing. Is it clear, everybody? Has everybody arrived at the same answers as this? Okay, thank you, Anjali. How about the others? Any confusion, any doubts? Has everybody got the same answers? Okay. I hope everybody is solving along with me, right? Okay, great. Perfect, perfect. So that's it. That brings us to the end of this question. If you look at the last part, it says state what are the reasons for the different product costs, and there are two approaches. What are they trying to ask? If you compare this under ABC method and this under traditional costing method, there is a difference. The difference, of course, it comes because we are using a different approach to allocate the cost. The first one is on the basis of direct labor. The second one is on the basis of cost activities and cost drivers. So explain it well in theory that, these are the reasons why there was a difference that is there. It's a theoretical question. So give a theoretical response to this kind of a question in the exam as well. I hope today's session was good. Everybody will be able to solve these questions by themselves. Please try to, after the session, also sit down and practice by yourself. Try to approach questions by yourself. Try to increase speed. These questions, these chapters like overheads and ABC costing, speed is very important because these are lengthy questions to take a lot of time in the exam. So you have to improve your speed. So please try to do that. Please practice as much as possible and improve your calculator speed. Use your M plus, M minus, MRCs. These are very important calculator shortcuts. Please learn these and utilize it well in the exam. All right. Okay then. Thank you so much, everybody. Do let me know if there are any questions or doubts. Thank you.